I run a pretty small fractional CFO outsourced accounting firm, and we're trying to track not only actuals to call it the plan or goal, but also a budget. And then in some of our environments, we're doing, we're forecasting whether it's the middle of the month, beginning of the month, that type of deal. So there are a variety of, we'll just call it data sets, right? That we do want to be able to compare or track, visually see against each other, things of that nature. Because every week we're doing like the 13-week cash flow forecast, and then we're digging into some type of sales data, some type of marketing data, and ultimately some types of like gross margin or COGS data to try to be real time. And it's all manual. Like it's 100% manual. Like I stayed up all night last night putting together one of the annual plans for one of the clients, and I had QuickBooks over here. I had a spreadsheet with like 8 years worth of data over here, and then I'm like, all right, in Google Sheet, let me put some input cells so it can flow down to a P&L. Let me go over to my balance sheet somewhere else in QuickBooks. Let me pull in all the note payables and basically all the non P&L cash items. And now let's try to extrapolate what might be a potential ending cash balance at end of the, you know what I mean? So it's like manual every week, because we report out every week. Basically we have like next year is 53 weeks, but we have like the 52, 53 weeks. And it's like, all right, this is the weekly cadence. This is the monthly cadence, weekly, semi-monthly, weekly, monthly. And it just kind of rolls like that. So it's ultimately about 3 to 4 types of standardization from a reporting standpoint, a report package with the dashboards and all that we're looking to get to.
Well, let me pull back the curtains a little bit and a little bit of a tour on what the tool can do, and then we can kind of take it from there.
Sounds good.
All right. So first off, QuickBooks Online. Once you connect them, they'll list in here underneath company name. So we can handle the consolidation reporting, everything from eliminations, building budgets, forecasts, dashboards, reports, all of that can be handled in our tool for the consolidated or for the individual companies. So we have reports and we have dashboards. Ideas being reports are like PDF packages. They can actually include graphs and tables and charts, right? Everything that you'd put in a dashboard can be in a report as well. But it's the delivery vehicle, I guess, is a PDF that you would send off. Dashboards, on the other hand, when you run a dashboard, it's just always sitting in the cloud. So it's not, you're not necessarily typically printing it off. It's just up there, available on demand anytime your client wants to see it. And then moving down here, budgets, we can create them in Reach, as I mentioned, and then using sheets, that's how you get non-financial numbers in. So if you're ever trying to like track, income and compare it against like the number of visits, or number of employees or things like that, those number of visits, number of employees kind of things can get drawn into these sheets and then used in any calculation you use throughout the tool. And then we have the sync button here. So we sync with QuickBooks every 24 hours. Every morning you come in, it's going to be freshly synced. And so you should always have pretty up-to-date numbers. But again, it's that tool that's available for you. Just going to click on Add Dashboard from Template really quick here. Reach is all about templates. So we have a bunch that are like available right out of the box for you. You can also create your own and save them in your templates as well. And that's one of the things I see a lot of guys like yourself doing, where you'll build like a template and it'll be like, tweaked exactly how you want it with like the graphs and the tables and the charts. And then instead of like reinventing the wheel every time with new clients, you start with that as like your starting point, and then you can kind of tweak it to fit their needs. That'll be a huge saving for you in terms of time.
Yeah, because everybody's just saying they're a lot like the group of 5 I'm looking at, they're all in the moving and storage industry.
Oh,
And they're
nice.
all exactly the same, except for there's a little nuance for everybody else. Everybody's just and that's the customization that we want to provide. So that's good.
Yeah, nice. So each of these white squares we call metrics, and each metric is kind of standalone, right? And if I scroll through here, you'll see some examples of the way that this data is being presented right now. All of this is live, coming directly from QuickBooks. Any metric you don't want, you can simply just click on the menu button and remove it. You do have the ability to click and drag and reposition things, so you can get it super fancy and make it look, pretty for what you need it for. Adding additional metrics is by clicking on this button up here. We do have a bunch of templates available for you. And so you can see there's lots of examples of metrics that are available. And say, for example, you wanted to be like, hey, let's add a break even. You can simply just search at the top there and click add metric, and you will have it automatically populate for you on your dashboard. Nice thing about the dashboards is clients can like hover over things and look at numbers. They can also turn things off. So say, for example, you're like, hey, let's actually just turn a couple of these things off. There's your break-even point, like whatever. You just kind of look and see what you want. And then you can also change date ranges. So these things can be done without them like wrecking what you've done. Like they're not changing any of the calculations and stuff. Sharing these dashboards is really simple. So you can add them to the client portal, and you can also just send them a link, which a lot of guys that are just like don't want to log into one more thing, they actually really enjoy. So for example, if I just like drop that link into this browser, you'll see that the exact dashboard that I created is now available for your clients. And every time the data refreshes, whenever they refresh the page, it's going to be the same link over and over and over again.
I like that.
Now, if you wanted to build your own, you click on add metric. It takes you through this building process. So first off, like what kind of columns do you want? You want it to all be actual or all be budget forecast numbers? A combination of both? What does that look like? What date range do you want? Live dates just indicates that it's going to update as time goes by for you. So you can like set it and forget it, essentially. Date range, last month's going to be November. So if you want current month, you could do December, which is kind of what you were asking about. Like, hey, if we did something for today compared to last year and so forth, you can do that. You can do last 12 months, any of the numbers, quarterly, annually, whatever you're looking for. And then we, of course, have a comparison period, but I'm just going to click next on this. And this gives you access to all of the data you have available. So you can see here we have all of these accounts and sub-accounts. This would be identical to what you have coming out of QuickBooks in the identical kind of order there. Same with your balance sheet, of course. Cash flow, we also have sales by customer and expense by vendor. So that kind of sums up all of the data points you have. And so as an example here, I'm just going to go in here and going to add total income. And then those data sheets I was mentioning previously, I would have previously went in there and had my number of employees added. And so when I click save, you can see a historic view of all my employees over the last 12 months. And I can see all of my values of income over the last 12 months. So if I wanted to do income per employee, I can use a formula, say income divided by employees. All the same kind of Excel-like formulas you're used to are going to be available. Click and drag it through. And then down here is the preview of what you're building. So I could click create right now, and I just have a table on my dashboard, which might be fine. But your people might be like more interested in graphical type representations. So getting rid of a couple items, I can now use these little blue eyes to hide them. And I can zero in on what my income per employee looks like graphically as a column chart, line chart, right? You can kind of change the presentation here. And then if you use something like this, I could even go in here and I could say, let's add some custom columns here. And I could say, let's add a trend. What's my trend doing? Where am I projecting based off my line of best fit moving forward? Or I can turn off the trend line and I can say, let's add a goal line, right? And maybe you're just doing a goal. And then over the last 12 months, I'm just going to hide these guys here, just so it looks a little nicer. I can say, what's my goal for income per employee? Maybe it's $1,200. And maybe you have a green goal, a red goal, an orange goal, whatever you want. But now you can kind of see how many times you hit and miss that goal over the last 12 months, making it very visually, understandable and quick to draw inferences from. And really that's like as hard as it gets in terms of like creating some of these unique, all of these things were built using similar kind of logic. And of course you can go to the back end of any of these. So say, for example, you're like, hey, this is all pretty good, but just not specific enough for my client. He doesn't care about some of these overall features. He wants to look at some specific accounts or whatever, or add another column. You just go into the edit screen and you can add columns or add rows or whatever it is you're looking for, kind of dial this in exactly the way you want it to look.
This is good. Even if like we're making notes or we have like an extra workbook or something, we can see the weekly trend and just that's I like this because if we're pulling up, call it November for 2023, we can see how even if we were halfway through the month, we can see how that compares to all the other months this year already. That's good to me because when you put it on a visual, it's pretty easy. Are we halfway there? Yes, you know what I mean? Just from a quick, just eyeball standpoint. So this looks pretty user friendly. If you're decent in Excel, you can definitely work this because this is like doing the Excel work for you pretty much.
Yeah.
No, I like it. This is good.
Nice. I will point out we can filter by class and by location.
Okay.
If you're doing a consolidation, this would be a company filter as well. So you can kind of get down to different levels.
Yeah, because there are some within some of the companies there are classes like the opco has a couple of divisions or something like that.
Totally. Yeah. So we could draw all those out and graph them all separately or whatever you want. Yeah. So just going to dive into reports now. So again, just like the dashboards, we have a large library of report templates. Again, we recommend you kind of tailor a report to your needs. Start with one of ours because a lot of the hard work and heavy lifting is done. But then, adding pages, removing pages, tweaking them to fit your needs is very easily done. And I'm just going to go in here and let's say we wanted to like add this monthly A. I could just go add report. You will see this workspace here. All of these different components along the side make up our reports. So metrics are like the graphs and stuff we were just looking at. Statements, your P&L, your balance sheet, AR, AP, aging. Images, like you can bring any image you want in. This logo is an example of an image. And everything's like click and drag, right? So you can change the size, everything, right? But even this stuff can kind of be positioned the way you want it. The theme color can be adjusted to fit your colors, whatever color you want. And then as you go through here, that kind of color theme is going to pull through. There's two different types of text. So we have static text and live text. Static text is like sentences and paragraphs like you see here. But notice this part's blue. You can actually put like the company's name or the date at the top here. You can see those little components will update for you automatically as time goes by. Even this number here, these larger like margins and things like that are coming in live. And you can add pages, you can remove pages, you can make it as big or as long as you kind of need it to be.
Yeah, I like that. Much better presentation than what we have going on now.
And every aspect of this is live, right? So your metrics will update, your live text will update. Your statements here, which are going down here, statements are completely customizable and will update for you automatically. And so, yeah, it's essentially the same thing, but you're just now PDFing it instead of just having it in the cloud.
Yeah, that's and I like that the preset had like some annual reports in there too.
Totally.
Yeah, that's.
And so it would probably be worthwhile just to touch on the budgeting and the forecasting. Let's jumping into a simple budget. And as you can see here, we got like Excel-like functionality for creating formulas and things like that throughout the forecast or the budget in this case. And what you can see is beside every row, there's like these little cogs. Each row can have its own setting. So in this case, we have a linear forecast algorithm set up. And what's happening here is it's just taking a trend of your previous months and just extrapolating it forward and populating this row with that trended data. Likewise, you can go into this row here and you can say, well, this case, we're taking a previous year's data, taking seasonality into account, adding 10% to last year's numbers.
Man, this is what I stayed up doing last night because certain line items, it's like, okay, let's just take historical. Certain line items are like, okay, well, this is the actual that we know it's going to be. And certain ones are like, yeah, give me a 10% growth year over year.
Yeah. So now it's automated for you. And you can even do like several at once, right? Like if you're like, hey, let's have all of these guys and make them all based off last year plus a percentage or trailing average or any of those kind of things. You can actually set that up pretty quickly that way. The coolest thing about this is you're going to get through your net income or your income, your COGS, your expenses, and you're going to get down to your net profit. The net profit line automatically goes onto your balance sheet. So you can see at the bottom here, everything gray is calculated. Okay, retained earnings. Your AR and your AP are calculated. Okay, based on rules that you'll set up in here, like if there's 30, 60, 90, and things like that. And then all of this stuff automatically, as you're playing in your profit loss in your balance sheet, it's going to automatically create your forecasted cash and what it's going to do moving forward, beginning and end of each period, and what that changes.
I like that. That's amazing. That is.
So you don't have to worry about things breaking, right? Like how many times have you tried to connect all that together and get those formulas going the right way? It just happens for you now automatically. And then this is just another data set. So if you're building budget to actual reports or dashboards, or looking what that cash is looking like in the future, you change it here, it changes there immediately.
And then
the forecast a little different is usually what I tell people is to create the budget and then just duplicate it and then convert the second one into a forecast. Using this little forecast month thing that pops up, you can now say, hey, we're 3 months into the year. It'll take your data from QuickBooks, automatically pull it in here, and then you can start to use that data to plan and project forward now that you have some numbers to play with. And there's some kind of fun automations here as well. So like in this case, you can see annual target setup. We have an $18,000 annual target. And so what you can see here is that if we had 0 the first 3 months, we need to hit $2,000 a month to hit that goal. But now if I jump ahead another 6 months and we still got zeros all the way across, well, now we're at $3,000 a month to hit that goal. So you either change your goal or you keep aiming to hit it every single month moving forward.
I like it.
Acts the same. You can kind of see trailing 3 months. You can change whatever average you want to do. Anything else you had questions wise, or?
I guess training, I mean, just looking at it, it's like, is there like resources? I see the video tutorials up top. So that's kind of the training resources. Okay.
We're happy to help you with your first couple reports as well. We have tutorials, we have webinars, and we're also happy to help make sure you feel comfortable in using the tool. And my job is going to be your direct person here at Reach. So if there's questions down the road, you can just reach out to me and I'm happy to support you personally.
Yeah, no, this is great. I wish I would have found this 45 days ago, because as I'm sitting here cramming to get all this stuff done 2 weeks before the new year. This is what I need. This is literally the closest thing that I found to what I need. I'm excited to get in here and get using it.